Please pause the video and take the time to read this important legal disclaimer. All trades and ideas on this stream are for educational purposes only. Flow Trading, its employees or associates are not liable for your trading profits or losses. All information is general market commentary and does not constitute investment or financial advice. We are not financial advisors, and this information is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Thank you. So, good afternoon and welcome to another TA update. It is midday here in the UK and it's just come in, and it's just midday and it's the 27th of May 2022. So let me just do the checks that everything is working fine in audio and video, and it looks like everything is working okay. So yeah, let's crack on. So we start with the cryptocurrency heat map here, and you can see that the great majority of it is in the red. There's a few outliers here, so DOT, ETC, so Ethereum Classic, even NEO, what is up with that? Even NEO is up nearly 4%. So yeah, so it's not looking too great for crypto at the moment. On the other hand, on the traditional finance, you can see here the great majority of the traditional finance is in the green. So there's clearly a little bit of a decorrelation happening at the moment between the traditional finance and Bitcoin. So we'll have a look at that in just a second. So let's just check the calendar and see what's on today. And today is Friday, of course. So here at the bottom, you can see we've got a core PCE coming out at 1:30, and the FOMC Bullard dude is speaking right now. So yeah, 1:30 we should be perhaps getting a little bit of volatility. We'll see what happens there, but at the moment I think that we're still kind of paying attention to this, but if the decorrelation continues to happen, then obviously I'm going to stop paying attention to the traditional finance markets. But anyway, so we start with the S&P and let's have a look at what's happening there. So you can see here on the 3-day chart, you can see that we basically got to a to the 2221 value area low and we kind of bounced there, and it was kind of expected, like I said to you guys last week and at the beginning of this week, that all of the bad news had already come out in terms of traditional finance. So we were bound to see a bear market rally. And here it is. It's basically pumping right now. It's gone through the low volume area and it's just about to hit this red line that I've got tagged there, which is basically the edge of this high volume cluster here. Okay, so if we can get above that, if the price can get above here, then I think we've got a very good chance to go at least to the current year's VWAP. Okay, but we'll have to wait and see. So I'm not sure if that's going to be possible or if it's just going to turn around here and then just come back down again. We'll have to wait and see how strong this bounce really is. It is just really a bounce. It's just a relief bounce, okay? Dead cat bounce or a relief bounce, whatever you want to call it, until we break that resistance. You can see here we are above on the bottom left. You can see that we're above the weekly and the daily VWAPs. We've also broken above the monthly VWAP, and we are currently rotational inside the developing quarterly value area low. Okay, so that's that line there that you guys can see. We're basically at this kind of in this low volume area here, which basically is a void. So it depends if we can break above this or not. Okay, so that's all I see on the S&P, and then leading into the weekend, obviously this is going to be a long weekend, I believe, because of the bank holiday. So with that, obviously there's a bit less risk, or less of a risk off kind of approach, I guess, until Monday. So let's just see what the market does today. In terms of the Nasdaq, very much the same scenario. We have gone up to the upside. Okay, we've bounced off the value area high of the previous year's VWAP here, of the 2020 VWAP actually. We bounced there. We are currently above this low volume node here, okay, which is above this yellow line that I'd put on there. But again, we've still got this red line here, which is the definite resistance, which will kind of define the edge of this high volume cluster, which it also has a little double distribution there. But nevertheless, that's where we are right now. And again, very much the same scenario. If we break above this, then I think we've got a very good chance of moving up. If we cannot break above that, then down we go, and that was that. So that's on the Nasdaq. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, other than the fact that we've kind of broken above the monthly VWAP, we're above the daily and the weekly VWAPs, and we're also rotational inside of the developing quarterly VWAP here, the value area low. So with that out of the way, let's move on to Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, again, starting on the higher time frames, you can see that we're basically still right on the edge of this high volume cluster here. Okay, so that's the high volume cluster there, and we've kind of like bounced below. We kind of bounced on this little low volume node there. Yesterday we kind of swept the lows out of this range that we were on. It's going to be more visible on the 4-hour chart. I'll show you that in just a second, but we're still very much inside the -2 standard deviation. Okay, so this is basically 2 standard deviations from the 2021 VWAP. This is the VWAP here, this is the +1, this is the +2, and of course this is the -1, and this here is the -2. So let me just change the settings. I don't know why I've got the arrow thing going on there. Normal. Okay, so let me just delete those for a second. Alright, so that's on the 3-day chart. Here on the quarterly, on the top right hand corner, you can see that we're basically still below that value area low of the developing quarterly VWAP. Below the developing value area low of the quarterly VWAP. Okay, so I'll have to say that slowly. That's a bit of a mouthful. Okay, on the 4-hour chart, we've got the monthly VWAP, which is down here, and this is where the juice really is. Okay, so I want to highlight something here to you. I'm going to take this volume profile off, and you can see that we are basically above the value area low of the monthly VWAP. Okay, yesterday we tested it, we violated it, but then we regained straight back in there again. All right, so if I was to put a fixed range volume profile from this high here to the current price, okay, and I've got this as a transparent setting. It doesn't have to be the transparent setting. I can make this as a blue setting. So you've got these lines here, the dotted lines are basically the value area high and the value area low, and then the rest is outside the value area. Okay, the red line in the center is the point of control. So if I put as a clear template so that we can still see the price, you can see where we are. All right, so clearly what happened yesterday, we in fact, let's start from the beginning, right? So here what happens is we deviate below the value area low, so we race to the highs. We deviate from the highs, we come back to the point of control, deviate from the highs again, come back to the lows, and we've just been rotational between these value areas for 2 weeks now, at least. Okay, so yesterday, and I'd already posted this in the group, I said here that basically we had a all the stops would be kind of like gathering at the bottom of here. Everybody that was long would have their stops there, and everybody that was short would have their stops above. And I explained that we were very likely to see, before any real move, that we were likely to see a deviation to the downside to grab all those stops, and then it would depend on what happens at the value area low, okay, at the range low. Of course, what happened there is that we deviated below like this with a high volume. That got bought up straight away, and we got back inside the range again. We came to the point of control. We couldn't get above the weekly VWAP, we lost the point of control, and we came back to the bottom of the range again, where we are right now. Okay, so this is a retest of the range. So typically what usually happens is if we deviate below the range like this, and if we are to remain in an imbalance, meaning if we are to go down, usually what happens is when it tests the top of the range again, it gets rejected and it goes down. However, that's not what happened here. What happened is that we deviated and we got straight back inside the range, and now we're kind of testing the bottom of this range. So for me, this is still bullish until proven otherwise. As long as we don't break this low here, for me this is bullish. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing on the 4 hour in terms of like sort of price action. Of course, all of that is invalidated if we lose this range low here. Okay, so basically again, we're looking at wrong one, sorry. In fact, I'll just delete that. You guys can see the range clearly. So I'm just going to do that anyway. Range and EQ. Okay, so something like that. On the 4 hour, it's a bit clearer. So let's just do that. Okay, so basically here we are, top of the low goes to the highs, top of the low, top of the highs goes to the point of control, goes back to the highs, to the low, to the highs. This is a clear defined range, right? Here we sweep the lows, we go back inside the range, failed at the halfway point, right, at the equilibrium, came back and tested this perfectly, okay, to the dollar, right? So am I bearish here? No. Okay, I'm bearish if we come just below this here, right? So if, however, this line here gets violated and we end up like going lower, then unless it gets up pretty quick out of there and forms yet another deviation, this is bullish. Okay, so I'm pretty convinced that we're going to go and test this area again, and eventually this area here, 30,750. Okay, but again, nothing is absolute in trading. This is just in terms of probabilities. This is what I'm seeing, and it doesn't mean that it has to happen like today or tomorrow or over the weekend at all. Okay, of course it's a long weekend, so there's going to be less liquidity in the markets, so that could bring some volatility. The meeting in a minute at 1:30 p.m. With the PCE release could also cause some volatility, so we might see that sooner than later, but it could also happen until next week. Okay, so these can take time to form, but as long as we are above this area here, I am bullish. Okay, at least on the shorter time frames. So that's what I wanted to show you on the 4 hour chart. So let's move on to the 30-minute chart, and this is looking at the weekly and daily VWAPs. The daily VWAP is in green, the weekly VWAP is way up here in orange, and you can see that the price, this is a deviation from yesterday. You can see that we came back down, we bounced there with a high volume, so loads of trapped sellers here. So you can see that's a red candle here, right? That red candle is basically where everybody was selling at the bottom, right? So what happens there is when the price comes back down, all these guys that are trapped short, I want to get out of break even. The only way they can get out is by buying. So it pumps the price back up. Came back down, tested it yet again. What happens? They're trapped, right? So they want to get out at break even. Boom, it pumps the price back up again. And here we are. But we are below the daily VWAP. We are also below, this is confluence, look. We're also below this value area low. Okay, of the, let me do that with a mark. I don't know why it keeps coming up with an arrow, that thing. There you go. So that's the value area low of the weekly VWAP, right? So we're below that. We're below the daily VWAP. So there's obviously a little bit of resistance there. Yesterday we failed at the closed VWAP here. As you can see, there's a faint green line there. That's basically what we tapped before we came back down again. So again, resistance now is here at the value area low of the weekly and the daily VWAP, around about 28,900, let's say 29k. If we break above that, I think we could see some resistance here as well at the weekly view app at 29,500, something like that. And then of course we're going to have some resistance round about here, around about 30k, maybe even 30,200. Okay, so we'll have to wait and see what happens at those levels. All right, so at those levels, of course, that has confluence that I'm going to show you now with the monthly view app. So let me just make this smaller. Okay, and if I've got the highlighter and I put here a line on the range high, sorry, let me try that again. Don't know if you guys can see that. Hopefully you can see there's a little bit of sunshine on my screen, so this is all a little bit dark and I'm having trouble seeing it, but there we go. Right, so let's just try, I'll do it with a trend line. So trend line on the top of the range here. Okay, I'll make that as red and make it a little bit thicker so that you guys can see. I'm going to sync this. Sync in the layout. So basically, where you see this red line here, which is the top of the range, also has confluence here with the low volume node at $30,800. Okay. If we were to move this up here to the monthly view app, right? This is what I showed you guys on Wednesday. If the price was to rally all the way up here to the monthly view app at 32k, I think that is a really interesting place to place a short, because basically we're above the range. This is likely to be a high probability trade, but not only that, it's got the monthly view app and it also has confluence. Let me just move this back a little bit, with the value area high of the previous week's view app. Do you see that there? Okay, so that's confluence right there. So that's an interesting area for a short in my personal opinion. So I'll be looking at that 32k as the line in the sand, if you like. If we are to break above this somehow, then I think we've got a very good chance of moving up to 36k, maybe even 40k. But we need to see something like test here, maybe get a little bit of a rejection, and then it needs to stay above this range, okay, before it goes up. Because if it falls back, if it goes like this and falls back inside of the range, well, that was just a deviation, and now the top of this range remains an area for shorting. All right, so I just wanted to make that clear, sort of like a mean reversion type of thing. Okay, so with that said, let's move on to Exocharts. I hope everybody is clear on that. So I'm looking at 32k now. Well, I'm looking at 30,800 for the first area of resistance and 32k for an area for a short. Okay, potential resistance and a short target, if you like, you know, or a place to enter a short. Of course, that only happens if we can stay above 28,500. Okay, that's the pivot. If we lose 28,500, then I think we're on our way down. All right. I mean, looking at this 12-hour chart, you can see that it does look really, really bearish, but it doesn't look too different than this area here, right? It looked really bearish all the way like this to 29k or 28,800, which is right about the same area that we're in now, right? So you can see the similarities, right? So it's kind of just dragging down like this. So eventually it could just like break out, but we'll have to wait and see. There's no point of trying to predict the future. For now, we just trade level to level. You know where your invalidation is. You know where the next targets are. If you do take a long down here, we're talking about this equilibrium here at 29,700 or something like that, 29,687. And then this one here has the take profit as well for the long, if you enter a long from down here. Okay, invalidation is nice and close. If we get all the way up there over the weekend, then you know that that's a short, and you'll be targeting, first of all, this range high, but if we do not bounce there, then you'll be targeting the range low as well. Okay, so do not close your short in full if we do get to 32k. That is it for Bitcoin. Let's move on to Exocharts. Let's have a look, see if we can find any confluence here. So just looking at the daily volume profile, not really. I mean, that kind of like that kind of wick to the downside that would basically swept the lows of the range didn't even get to this point of control at 27,500. Okay, so there's a naked point of control at 27,500. There's another naked point of control at 30,300. So let's have a look and see which one would take out first. Okay, so we're looking really to take out either this one or this one. Okay, this one, of course, you can see here we've got a low volume area here around about $32,000. So again, that remains resistance until proven otherwise. But we could go up first and then come down, or we could go down first and then perhaps even try and come back up again. I don't know. At the moment, I'm not very convinced. If we lose these lows, I'm not very convinced that we'll come back up in a hurry. I think it'll be a slow bleed to much lower prices, but we'll have to wait and see. Okay, so that's the daily volume profile. Let's have a look at the daily market profile. And let's just reset this. Okay, so this grey box that you see there is basically a composite of all these profiles merged together, excluding the profile from yesterday because it's a very long profile like this. Even though the most of the value area is still kind of compliant and it's still kind of overlapping the previous one, but I think, you know, I think that's a little bit more accurate like this. And you can see that today, even though we opened here and we came to that point of control, we kind of couldn't stay above this level here, which is right about 29,375. Okay, so again, what we want to see for the bulls anyway is we want to see the price come all the way up here and regain this level here around about 29,400. If we could do that, then I think, like I said, we've got a very good chance to coming all the way to 30, you know, to the top of the range, so around about 30,500, something like that. But that remains to be seen. This will be resistance until proven otherwise. Okay, 29,400, which is around about where the daily VWAP is. So at the moment we're around about 29k. So yeah, I think 29,000 was that. 29,500 is where the weekly VWAP is. Sorry, I knew I'd made a mistake there. So this area here is basically where the VWAP, the weekly VWAP is. Okay, so let's just wait and see if we can break above the daily VWAP. If we can break above it, then I think we've got a good chance to go into the weekly, and then let's just see how we react at this level here. Okay, so level to level and just play it by ear, but ultimately the target will be way up here if we stay above 28,500. Okay, so targets to the downside, so I've given you targets to the upside. The target for the downside remains at 27,000, 27,500, something like that, where we've got a naked volume point of control depending on what tick size you're looking at. But 27,000 area is an area of interest if we are to go lower. Okay, we could definitely see a bounce there. So in terms of market profile anomalies, there's not really much to be said. This yesterday pretty much cleared all of these equal lows. It cleared out that naked point of control that we've been talking about for a while, and it also tapped a naked daily VWAP. This is the daily, let me just double check that. Sorry, it's a naked session VWAP. It's also the daily. So naked daily VWAP that was there, VWAP close from all the way back in May the 13th. Okay, so it was Friday the 13th, where the VWAP closed there, then the price rallied up, and that VWAP close had not been tapped. Well, yesterday when the price dumped, guess where it dumped to? Exactly to the dollar, to that daily VWAP close. Okay, so that's obviously a little bit of hindsight. I didn't realize all this and I wasn't paying attention to this until I saw it yesterday, but I will definitely be keeping an eye on these and having them on the market profile for the future. But anyway, so here we are, we're below resistance, we are a kind of above support. Let's just wait and see how it plays out. Okay, that is pretty much it for Bitcoin. I think that you guys there's no questions, so I think I'll just move on. And if you've got any questions, I think it's pretty clear though, right? If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask here in the chat. But this is the play that I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at round about sort of a 5-hour trade like this, okay? And then from the highs there, from 32k, I'm looking first, obviously managing the risk a little bit better, first at something like this, okay, at least to the range high. But if we cannot bounce there, then I'll keep some of that short open. I'll definitely take some profits there at 30,000, 31,000 or 30,800, something like that. But I'll keep some of the short open just in case we fall through. And if we fall through, then I'll be targeting the range lows at 28,600. That's basically how I am going to play this. And again, there's no point of guessing if we're going to go up or if we're going to go down. We trade level to level, and that's how it should be, okay? And managing your risk accordingly. So with that said and out of the way, let's move on to Ethereum. So we start again with a higher time frame. This is a 3-day chart. You can see that we are basically right at the value area low. Value area low of the 2021 VWAP. Okay, so this is the value area low, and that's exactly where we are, and we bounced. Okay, Ethereum is looking a little bit weak compared to Bitcoin, and it's been outperformed lately in the last sort of couple of days, and we'll see that in a minute on the Ethereum BTC chart. But nevertheless, we are at a key level of support, and I do think that we've got potential to move to the upside here. Okay, if however we go down, right, if we break below this, then I'm looking at the second standard deviation of the 2021 VWAP, which is way down here, right? But you know, without getting ahead of ourselves, there's going to be plenty of levels to get through first, which is this one here, $1,500. Okay, we should see a bounce there because it's a low volume node, and then there's also $1,000, big round number for Ethereum. And I think that even if Bitcoin has a massive dump and Ethereum follows through as well, then I think $1,000 is going to be a little bit difficult to break to the downside on Ethereum. But let's just wait and see how we react at this level here. And if we can react bullishly, then I think we got some targets to the upside. So we'll have a look at the smaller time frames for those. Okay, but now you've got also a target. If I look at the balance, you can see, I'll just take the VWAPs off just to simplify this. You can see, like I said to you guys on Wednesday, right, that we broke below and out of this high volume cluster here, right? Then we tested the top. We definitely got rejected. We tested it again a couple of days ago, and we got rejected there again, right? And with that, we're just means that we're trying to find acceptance inside of here, and we did indeed. Okay, there's a low volume area there. We did bounce there as well a couple of times, right, on here, and now we're on our way down. Let's have a look at the daily chart there, right? So it's not very visible. Let's have a look at it like this. So basically this is this area here where we bounced is exactly where this low volume node is, but now we've broken below that, and we could be well on our way to down here. So I said, like, you know, once you enter an area of balance, you tend to firm up both sides to establish that balance, and of course that's exactly what we did. We rejected at the top, and now we're on our way down. So let's just wait and see how, if we can find some strength here on Ethereum, but at the moment it's not looking too clever. Okay, so that's all I can say here on the higher time frames. So eventually support, just to simplify, will be around about $1,500 if we carry on to the downside. If we move up, but make no mistake, this area here at round about $2,000 is still strong resistance. Okay, so if you are to enter along at this key level here, you can see that this is previous support there, right? If you were to enter along, and this support's been battered, like, sort of to interrupt swapping and changing, it's been battered, it's been tested at least 5 times now. But if you are to take a long here, then make sure to either exit your position or at least take some profit at $2,000 level. It doesn't mean that just because it's going up that it's just going to keep going up and up and up because of this merge or whatever. Again, we trade level to level. Okay, so let's have a look at the smaller time frames and see if we can find some confluence. I might even leave these balance areas on. No, I'm going to take them off just so that we can get a little bit of context here. Okay, so again, we're below the quarterly VWAP value area low. Nothing very interesting there. We're also below, on the bottom left hand corner, you can see that we've been rejected from the value area low of the weekly VWAP, right? And we've not even tested that just yet at around about $1,800. That was an important level of support, and now it's an important level of resistance. Okay, the only thing that is looking good is that we are above the daily VWAP here, and it does look like we're bouncing from there. So let's just wait and see. However, on the 4-hour chart, which is basically what I wanted to show you, it's looking a little bit more tricky. So again, same scenario as Bitcoin. We had a range low, we had a range high, and I did say that we were going to sweep the lows, and then it depends what happens at the range low, right? So we sweep below, we come back and test that range, and guess what happens? We did not reclaim the range, right? So let's have a look at this on the 1 hour. Just delete all these brush marks. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is the range low, this is the range high of this particular range, even though it's just a volume profile. Let's have a look at this. This is not very accurate. Let's just put it from the top swing high there. Right, there we go. That's a little bit better now. Okay, so from this swing high to the most recent price. And you can see again the range being formed, right? This is the range highs here. Range high, tapped there, range high, tapped there, and tapped there as well. And then here the range lows tapped, tapped here. And then here we kind of lost it as we lost the value area low of the monthly here. We lost to that on that Bitcoin dump yesterday, right? So the price comes down, bounces back up again, but it cannot enter the range, right? It got stuck here. Right, and with that rejection there, what happens? The price comes down. So like I've said to you guys, I've put this in the group already. So if you took this short, well done. Okay, basically what we wanted to see for Ethereum bulls is we wanted to see Ethereum do exactly the same as Bitcoin and perhaps even outperform Bitcoin. I was actually trading Ethereum instead of Bitcoin, so I didn't do too great. I had a good it was a good long, you know, this was a good long, but it wasn't amazing because I was expecting this to just rally straight back inside the range and then just move up. But of course it didn't do that. When Bitcoin hit the weekly VWAP, it curled over and Ethereum had failed to reclaim the range. And as such, it just went down. All right. So now this becomes resistance, right? We got $1,900 as resistance until proven otherwise on Ethereum. So that remains a key level, and it's also not just a value area low of the monthly VWAP, but it's also the range low. So $1,900 is a key level of resistance. Okay, if we reclaim this, then I think we've got a very good chance. There's a point of control here that will be resistance, no doubt. So don't get spooked if we just kind of rotate here a little bit sideways like this. However, if we stay above this level here around about the $1,900, $1,800 level, then I think we've got a very good chance of moving up. So that's what we want to see for Ethereum if you're a bull. If you're a bear, then I think that this was the perfect place for a short setup. And if even if it goes back up there, or if it comes closer back up to here and starts curling over and printing lower lows and lower highs, then I think that you should enter a short because we're looking at that $1,500 level, which is the level to the downside that I've been talking about. Okay, so that's what we're seeing here. In terms of context, you can see that we're pretty much kind of like, we're below this value area low. Okay, we're below the value area low of the weekly as well, of the quarterly, and we're also below the second standard deviation of the developing years VWAP. Okay, so that's the first deviation there, and this is the second one. So we're below that. Okay, we're actually testing the value area low of the 2021 VWAP. So we'll just wait and see where we are. It's looking quite bearish, to be honest, on Ethereum versus USD. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens now, and if Bitcoin will dump or will pump. But if Bitcoin goes down, it will definitely drag Ethereum down with it. If it goes up, then it will drag Ethereum up with it, but at which speed, I don't know. Which moves me on to Ethereum BTC. So let's move on to the ETH BTC chart and just have a look at where we are. So clearly we've lost some levels here, right? So let me just take this VWAP off. We lost that trend line that had been there since the 21st of June or whatever, 24th of June 2021. And we failed to reclaim that. All right, so if I put the VWAP on back on, I was highlighting to you guys this level here, which is basically where the developing years VWAP is at. Okay, we kind of didn't even test that, to be honest. Okay, we had bounced on the second standard deviation of the developing years VWAP, but we failed that now, and we are well below this low volume area here at 65,000 sats. Okay, so now will this be resistance here at 65,000 sats? Quite possibly. All right, so this is resistance, and it could potentially be resistance as well. Okay, so Ethereum BTC has broken market structure essentially, and you can see that very clearly here. This was the previous low, previous lows. We bounced there, we kind of rotated for a little bit, but now we've broken that. Okay, and we're kind of at more or less at the same level as this one. Okay, so it's a break in market structure. So now will we go up here, print a lower high, and then carry on down, or will we go up here and reclaim this and then go up? That's basically the scenario. This trend line kind of dictates where we're going to go next on Ethereum BTC. But I've moved all my assets back onto Bitcoin instead of just Ethereum. I had high hopes for Ethereum as it looked like it was outperforming it, and this would have been just a deviation. So I took my chances, but I was wrong. And you know, that's just kind of how it works sometimes. You know, you can't always be right. I haven't got a crystal ball. I was just taking my bets. So anyway, no harm done. I've just basically gone all onto Bitcoin, and until this shows me a sign of strength, I am not bullish or remotely bullish on Ethereum unless we can reclaim some key levels, and that's basically the key level here. At least 65,000 sats to start with, and then 70,000 sats after that. Okay, in terms of support resistance levels, you can see that I've drawn some lines there. This level here now should be resistance, even though I had highlighted it there in green before. This previous level of support now should be resistance. Okay, so even if the price goes up to 65,000 sats, it will probably find resistance there and do something like this, and then move back to the downside, because this is a high volume cluster and we should be rotational inside it. Okay, until proven otherwise. So let's just wait and see. But either way, this should now be our range until proven otherwise. Break above it, and of course then we've got this here as a key level to break, right, where this 70,000 sats is. All right, so we could be sort of then rotating between that level there and this previous level of support that has now turned to resistance. But we'll have to wait and see. So there's two clear ranges there. We'll just have to wait and see where we go to. 57,000 sats is the next level of support, and potentially 55,000 sats, which is basically where this is bounced here before, right? Which is, you can see here, low volume area. All right, so in fact, I'm going to put a little line there. I'm going to put that as green, as a potential level of support as well. Okay, so that's Ethereum BTC on the higher time frames. And then it gets a little bit messy on the lower time frames, but there's no real let's just see if I can find any interesting. Okay, so here on the 30-minute chart, This is on Bitfinex, by the way. I can see here on the ETH BTC chart that we've reclaimed the daily VWAP, and we've also reclaimed the value area low of the weekly VWAP, okay, of the developing weekly VWAP, okay. So this remains a key level here, around about 65,000 sats. We'll have to wait and see, but this here, which is that level of resistance at 65,000 sats where the low volume node is, also has confluence with the value area high of the weekly. So, you know, if we can get above this level here, that's where we're going to go next, and that's definitely a level of resistance. So we just have to wait and see where it happens. But you've got levels, you've got targets to the downside, targets to the upside. I hope this helps you in your analysis regarding Ethereum versus BTC. On Exocharts, let's have a look at Ethereum on Exo. Volume profile, daily volume profile. We are below the naked point of control there. We didn't take that. That's strange. Okay, so that really needs to be taken at around about $1,800, $1,810, and then if that gets taken, we've got a significant naked point of control at $1,600, and we've got another one at $1,972. Okay, so let's say $2,000. Okay, $2,000, 1972, something like that. That's basically where the where the naked volume points of control are on this daily chart. Okay, so those are targets to the downside and targets to the upside there as well. Okay, in terms of the market profile, poor structure here. You can see we've got a poor structure below left from yesterday. Okay, so there's a low volume structure, so basically there's a little gap there. I wouldn't be surprised to see this kind of like just rally there and just spend a little time bracketing there. Okay, so we've got a naked point of control at around about 1,830. If we can get above that, that's what we'll do, and I think we'll kind of like rotate in here to fill that. All right, break above it, and we've got a naked volume point of control here at 1972, and we've got another one at $2,056. All right, to the downside, I think it goes a little bit too far back for me to see, but I've already showed you that there is one at around about $1,600. I believe it was it 1,600? Yeah, $1,600. All right, so that is it for Ethereum. So with all that said, let's move on to I hope that I've covered everything. Ethereum USD, Ethereum BTC. Yeah, so let's move on to altcoins. There's not going to be much in the way of change other than more downside, I believe. So let's start with FODL Finance, or FODL token on OkEx. And this is, let's move on to the daily chart here. We'll put the VWAP back on as well. Okay, so we are losing again these levels of support. No surprise there. Like I said to you guys before, these levels are just based on big round numbers because we've got no previous price action to go from. So this is basically just a guess, and the price will continue to tank until there's a change in the markets. Okay, we've been rejected from the value area low of -2 standard deviation of the current year's VWAP. Okay, and we'll continue to go down until we can hit significant levels. Okay, we are at 5 cents. 5 is a big round number, so you know, we're just below 6 cents now, so we could just rotate between 5 and 6 until there's some resolution, but we really need to see some bullish momentum in crypto in order to see some of these tokens go up. So for the time being, there's not much to be said other than we continue to print lower lows and lower highs. FODL versus USDC, very much the same thing. We're below the -2 standard deviation of the current year's VWAP. We're continuing to test lower and lower levels, and we are quickly approaching the 6 cents here on sushiswap. So yeah, FODL versus USDC on sushiswap. I don't know if I got that wrong, or sometimes I get a little bit mixed up and I get the wrong number, got wrong names and wrong tickers. But yeah, FODL versus USDC here on sushiswap. We're approaching 6 cents, and if we bounce there, then 7 cents will be resistance, and we could just rotate sideways. However, if we lose this one, we go to 5 cents. Okay, Unfortunately, that's what's happening with most of these tokens. Everything is just going down for, and it has been going down for months. Okay, so that's just the way it is. It's not a particular phenomenon with FODL. It's just the whole of crypto, as we'll see in just a minute. FODL versus ETH. You can see that we continue to print lower highs and lower lows. I am looking at this level here as a potential level. I'm going to do that as yellow. A potential level of support here, right, at 300,000 way, 301,000 way. But again, that's just because it's, let's have a look at this. Wow, yeah, that's a -2 standard deviation of the developing year VWAP. So this is the previous, this is a little bit confusing, so just bear with me. Let me just take this off a second. Yeah, no, I'm not too convinced about that one. So I do think that this level here, because it is a big round number, around about 300,000 way, that could be a potential level of support. But actually, this could just keep going with lower highs and lower lows. So pay not much attention to that. Until we see a turn in the markets, there's not really much to be said with most of these tokens. Okay, so hopefully we will bounce there, and if we do, then we could see FODL range between these two levels here. Okay, this could also be potentially resistance here, but we'll have to wait and see. That's a -2 standard deviation, so I'm not sure, with the -1 being here. So I'm not sure if we'll see resistance there or not. Okay, so we could potentially see this as a little bit of a range forming if we start moving things to the upside. But until then, lower highs and lower lows is continuation, so you can carry on shorting everything. Moving on to BNB versus USD. Okay, so Binance Coin. As you can see here, we have tested that low volume node there in the middle. As you can see here, there's a low volume node in this large distribution, right? That's why I've put 2 mini ranges inside. We've tested that. We found that that is indeed resistance. Okay, it also has confluence, as you can see here, with the value area low of the developing year's VWAP, right? Value area low, and we're bouncing on the previous year's VWAP close, okay, of the 2021 VWAP close. If I take that off, you can see that we're pretty much kind of still inside of the range, and as long as we are above here, okay, there's a very good chance that we can carry on rotating here. So like I said, we've got 2 ranges inside one bigger range inside of this rectangle, so just keep that in mind. Okay, and just bear with me just a second. Just to close the door, it's a little bit noisy. So yeah, we've remained here at around about $287 as support. If we can stay above that, then the next level of resistance should be 328 and then 358, okay, as levels of resistance for the upside. And so we just rotate sideways. Binance Coin looking pretty good compared to everything else. It does look like it wants to pump, so we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, there's no break in market structure as such, but at least we've printed a little sort of high here, and if we print a higher low, meaning that it's higher than this one, then we could potentially see more upside as a result of that. But we'll have to wait and see if we can keep this momentum going. Okay, moving on to the next is BNB versus BTC, so Binance Coin versus Bitcoin. All right, so this is just a deviation. Okay, you can see that clearly there. Deviation to the upside. We could not stay above and inside of this range here. Okay, we got capped at the value area high. As you can see here, the value area high of the developing, it's the +2 actually. This is a second standard deviation. Okay, so the +2 standard deviation of the developing year's VWAP acted as resistance. Okay, and now we've come to the downside. So we're no longer inside of this range above, so let me just delete that. And so it looks like we want to get acceptance back inside of this range here. So this is the range that I'll be looking for, which is the previous range that we were in. As you can see here, we rotated below and above the developing years VWAP. So this here could be support. So just keep that in mind. And so we could see the same scenario as BNB versus USD, which is where we've got two little ranges inside one bigger range, okay? And this is clearly seen here with this low volume area in the middle. All right, so if you are in a short from the top here, if we come and test this here like this to continue down, make sure you take profit at this yearly VWAP, okay, in the middle of the range, because we could just be rotating inside of here. However, if we lose that middle line there, equilibrium if you like, then we'll be rotating inside of this one, okay? Overall, we could even just be doing something like this, but of course on the higher time frames it makes a lot more sense. When you look at the lower time frames, this is quite a big range, hence why I've put two mini ranges inside to give you a better view, if you like, a more granular view. So again, levels of support around about 10,000 sats, level of resistance around about 10,600 sats. Okay, Binance versus ETH. Very interesting. Okay, so we are above this level of resistance here. I had a red line, as you can see here, right? And this red line was supposed to be resistance, but we've broken above that. So even though it's being capped right now, does that mean that we are we basically, just bear with me just a second, are we basically just deviating here to the upside and fall back inside, which means that we go lower, or are we going to carry on going up? I don't know is the question, is the answer to that, right? But if it does go up, and if we break above this resistance and manage to stay up, there's hardly any volume there, okay? At least to around about this level here, which is basically where you see this little volume structure. So if it does accelerate to the upside, there is the previous year's value area high there, right? Around about 1825, 0.1825, okay, so 1,825 way. But if we break above this, in fact, I think if we accelerate here, I think we could go very quickly to around about this level here, 2,000 way. All right, because again, this tapering volume, so we could see Binance outperform ETH significantly here. So we just have to wait and see if that is true or not, okay? But I wouldn't want to be shorting this just yet. You want to wait for confirmation, okay? So confirmation looks like this. There we kind of gone above that line, but then we fall back inside and we could not get back above it, okay? This is a change in market structure, and I think then that means that we're going to go lower. However, if we do not fall back inside of that range, then there's no point in shorting this, okay? We just keep it going. All right, so this is the range that I'm looking for here. So either this one or this one lower. But if we go higher, then I'm going to put a little red line there. I'm going to put that as resistance. Round about here, just to be on the safe side. Okay, so we could potentially see this rotate like this, okay, where the previous level of resistance turns to support. But we'll have to wait and see. Moving on to AAVE versus USD. Let's see if my levels worked. No, we've just lost that level. It was in orange because I wasn't sure if it was going to act as support or not. It clearly didn't. So now it's resistance. Okay, so unless we reclaim it, let me just delete this for a minute. Okay, unless we reclaim this level and kind of rotate inside of here like this. If we can all get above this level of resistance here, then I think we rotate inside of this one here. Okay, that's just how I see it right now. I think I might even put a little level of support here because here's the value area high, the previous VWAP. Okay, but so let me just delete that and make this a little bit more realistic. So we could rotate here support. If we lose this one, then this here will be the next level of support. So I think we just kind of rotate in here if we cannot get above that resistance. All right, so that's AAVE versus USD. So I'm looking at $66 as support, $96 as resistance. Okay, AAVE versus BTC. We're right at support here. So as long as we are above this line, it does look like we're rotational up here. If we lose this line, however, then of course we'll be rotational just below it. Okay, so somewhere, something like this. All right, so I think that's how it's going to pan out. But at the moment, it does look like we've bounced here at the bottom of this low volume area. So low volume area here. So it does look like we're bounced here. So we could just be doing something like this. All right, we'll just have to wait as well for this one. All right, either way, if we get to the top here somehow, there's a yearly view up there, and that's going to be strong resistance moving forward. AAVE versus ETH. Interestingly, we got rejected right where I put that circle there, which is the yearly VWAP, right? And so now it remains to be seen if we can hold this as support. If we hold that as support, then I think we rotate inside of there like that. Okay, so let me just delete those lines a minute. Okay, so this is resistance, and so is this one here, which is the yearly VWAP, and this here is support. Okay, so I expect the price to rotate like this. If we break above it, then this is the next level of resistance. If we break below it, then we've got a few levels of support, namely this one here, which is a low volume area that you can see here. Okay, and then we've got this level here as support as well. Okay, but we just have to wait and see how it pans out. Compound versus USD, losing levels of support, which is unsurprising the way Bitcoin is moving. So let me just delete those lines again. Okay, this level here is now turned to resistance, I believe. I'm going to put it as orange because we're still pretty close to it and we could just deviate. But if we cannot get back above that, and please note, we are inside the second standard deviation, as you can see that there. We're inside that second standard deviation there, right? You guys can see that there, right? We are inside of that, so we could just bounce here as well, okay, with this one being strong resistance, but we'll have to wait and see for that as well. So if we cannot get above that as resistance, then I think we're going to continue printing lower highs and lower lows, and we could just carry on doing something like this, sorry, and so on. Okay, so we have to wait and see. This could potentially be a range here divided in two. If we break above it, then this is the next range here. Okay, we're looking at big round numbers, as you can see here. This is $50 and this one's $40. That's why it's divided in two. So that's compound versus USD in terms of levels of support. Levels of resistance, of course, we've got $80 and then we've got $100 as the big levels of resistance moving forward. Compound versus BTC, we're right at that level of support. Okay, so this level here that highlighted there. So I think that we might be rotational inside of there. So let's just move on to look like this. So level of support here at 200 sats, level of resistance 260 sats for compound versus USDC, compound versus BTC, I'm sorry. Of course, lower highs and lower lows, that means continuation usually. So even if we don't rotate sideways, and if we can carry on going down, then the next level of support will be this one here, around about 150 sats. If we break above it, then the next level of resistance will be around about 300 sats. Compound versus ETH, level to level still. We've got rejected there, like I highlighted to you guys on Wednesday. We got rejected from the value area low of the developing years VWAP. Okay, and we could potentially be rotating inside of this range here. All right, so that's the range that I see right now. Break above it, this is the next level of resistance. Break below it, this is the next level of support. In terms of direction, if you guys say, oh, but you're just doing level to level. If it goes up, it goes up. If it goes down, it goes down. Yeah, that's correct. The trend is your friend. Lower highs, lower lows, and it just keeps doing this. Doesn't matter what time frame you look at it. It's just been doing that for months. So there's no change in market structure. Be sure that if there is a change in market structure, I will highlight it straight away and say that we could be changing direction. If I don't say anything, that means that we're not fucking changing direction, okay? That we carry on going down. With that said, moving on to BAT USD. And again, we're rotational inside of these two levels. So 43 cents as resistance and 30 cents as support. And so we rotate sideways until proven otherwise, okay? Break to the upside, this is the next level of resistance. Break to the downside, these are the next levels of support. BAT versus BTC, very much the same thing. We did have a little sweep to the downside today already, but this is holding as support. So I expect this range to hold for now. I'm going to leave that as green, and we just kind of rotate sideways like this inside of there. Break to the downside, there's a long way down to around about 1,000 sats. Break to the upside, then we've got 1,480 sats as the next level of resistance. BAT versus ETH. Okay, so no change in market structure, as this is the previous high, okay, and this is a low here. There's no change in market structure yet. However, there is a little bit of a change in dynamics. So this here should now act as support. Okay, I'm going to delete that. And if this acts as support, that means that this here will act as resistance. If we do this, that's a change in market structure. This is the high, we broke a previous high, and then all we have to do is print a higher low, so higher than this one. Okay, and if we do that, then I think we'll be rotational inside of here and maybe even break it to the upside. All right, just because again there's a change in market structure, but for now there's no clear evidence of that. At the moment it just looks like we're testing a resistance, and we've just broken it above it, so just rotate between these two levels. Let's just wait and see. If this is indeed confirmed as support, then this could be a very good, interesting trade all the way up here, okay, which is a change in market structure. So this could potentially be a very nice long. But then when we get up here, don't think that it's just going to keep going up. That's the edge of a high volume cluster there, and we almost certainly find resistance there, okay? But it will definitely be a change in market structure, so then it's all eyes on a higher low. Okay, so that's BAT versus ETH. Moving on to Link versus USD. Completely the opposite. We've just broken through a level of support, which I'm going to put that as red now. Okay, and just correct some of the lines there. Okay, so we are below that line there now, so that's resistance and that's support. Okay, so $5 as support, $7 as resistance. Okay, and we rotate sideways like this. Okay, of course we've got $6 as well somewhere in the middle, so just pay attention to that, because $6 is also a big round number, and we'll have to keep an eye on that one, as we could potentially rotate between the two, okay, between the 6 and the 7, or the 5 and the 6. So that's where we are right now, okay, but there is no previous price action, so that's why we're going on to round numbers. Link versus BTC. Very much the same scenario. We're still below resistance. Okay, so this is resistance here. This should be support here, even though we're kind of like struggling a little bit to get below this one. There's a little low volume node there, but I think, you know, this here is the range, if you like. Okay, so this is the range high, and this should be the range lows. Okay, so hopefully this will hold here, and the price will rotate sideways as a result. Okay, so we're looking at around about 2,000 sats as support and around about 2,600 as resistance. Okay, and moving on to Link versus ETH, very much the same thing. We're kind of just tested support. It held as support here. We're on our way to going to resistance now. Okay, so this is support and this is resistance, and so we trade within this range. Okay, so ideally what we want to see is we want to break above these highs for a change in market structure. There's no sign of that just yet, but if we do break above it, that's a good change in market structure, and it's time to think about going long. Okay, however, we could come all the way up to here, and even though it looks bullish, we can carry on printing lower highs, okay, potentially lower lows. All right, so that's kind of what we're looking at right now. This here is resistance until proven otherwise, and this here is support until proven otherwise. Break above it, this is the next level of resistance, and if we break below this one, then this is the next level of support. Uni versus USD. Okay, this is resistance, this is support, we're still rotational inside, nothing much has changed. Okay, so again, just continuation, right, until one of the sides breaks. Uni versus BTC, very much the same thing. We're very close to support here. We're holding on for dear life here at support. So if we fail that, then this is going to be the next level of support, and of course we'll have a range inside of here like that, right? However, if it does hold, then I think this is going to be the next level of resistance. Okay, and that's one ugly arrow. That'll change. Okay, so support until proven otherwise, resistance until proven otherwise. Break below it, this is the next level of support, and if we break above it, then this is the next level of resistance. Uni versus ETH. Well, I'm going to delete some of these scribbles now. Okay, so we're still kind of rotational inside of here. This is holding as support at the moment, so we trade this range. However, if we break below that one, we trade this range here. Okay, so we'll just wait and see. So again, this is intermediate support right now. This will definitely be resistance, and this should hold as support. Break below that one, that's the next level of support. If we break above the range high there, then this here will be the next level of resistance. Okay, and I think that is it in terms of all the altcoins. I've covered everything, so let's move on to Ethereum again, to Bitcoin, and just have a look at where we are right now. 28,879, so there's not really much happening in the markets. We're still very much at the level that we were when I first started this stream. Nothing much has changed, and again we're looking at 28,500 as the potentially the level that we don't want to break. Okay, however, we are below the daily VWAP. Okay, so ideally what we want to see a clean break of this daily VWAP, right? Potentially something like this, and then a move to the upside. All right, so we just have to wait and see if we can do that. All right, if we do that, then this is the next level of resistance, and then potentially this one here as well, right? So that's around about 29,500 and 29,950. Okay, I think that is it. I've covered everything, I believe. I hope you guys have a nice weekend. I hope this helps you stay on the right side of the trades. But in the meantime, if you guys want to join the group on Discord, please do. There's always TA being posted there every single day, various times a day. And there's always guys in there that could answer your questions if you've got any questions about TA or the direction of the market or anything really. No such thing as a silly question. So feel free to join the group. There's also there's going to be a link for the group in the video description. But that's it for now, and I hope you guys have a nice weekend, and I'll speak to you guys on Monday where I'll have another TA update for you just after lunchtime. Okay, cheers, take care, bye-bye.